The popular iX35 was a great seller for Hyundai, but it was recently dropped from the range and replaced by this. Meet the Hyundai Tucson. It's slightly bigger than the iX35 it steps in for and has a much cleaner and more assertive look. Put that down to the bold grille and the clean lines. The attention to detail is nice too, from the chrome door handles to the silver roof rails. It's a shame some of that attention to detail hasn't translated to the interior, where you got lots of cool little bits of bling outside, like the chrome door handles and so on. Inside is simply not here. It's instead just lots of grey and dull plastics, and even the ones that aren't supposed to look dull sort of do. Thankfully, Hyundai's made sure that all the buttons and other features in the car are easy to spot and easy to operate. Now, it's surprising how many car makers don't get that bit right, but in this car, Hyundai's nailed it. There's also plenty of space, and not only up here but also in the back seats, even the boot, and that last one's impressive considering it's got a full-size spare tyre under the boot floor. That's something Hyundai Australia has pushed really hard for because they understand a lot of Australians need it. And most competitors don't even bother, but and for most people, look, it's going to sound unimportant, and it is until they get a flat tyre. That Aussie thinking has gone into other parts of the Tucson as well, particularly the way it drives. They spend a lot of time tweaking the suspension for Australian conditions and Australian tastes, and it really shows. This car does quite a nice job, particularly around town here, over speed humps and other obstacles. It's surprisingly comfortable, and it settles really nicely. Yet at the same time, it's very predictable and confident in corners. It's the sort of car that'll trudge around town and do all the daily duties no problems very comfortably. But if you do need a bit of dynamic finesse and ramp it up a notch, it's all there on tap for you. Under the bonnet, there's some good thinking as well, but that's only once you've decided on which engine you're going to choose. You see there are 4 to choose from. You've got 2 2-litre petrol engines, one with slightly more power, a 2-litre turbo diesel, and then this one that I'm in, a 1.6-litre 4-cylinder turbo. So it's actually a really interesting engine. It's got more power than the 2 litres, so you're looking at 130 kilowatts, but it's the hardy 265 newton metres. It's available pretty low in the rev range. You're looking at 1500 revs, and that's what makes the difference for this car. So it does have pretty nice pull. Plus, if you want to push it harder, there is plenty of muscle there. Less impressive is the 7-speed automatic. It's good to have that many ratios to choose from. But it's a dual clutch setup, so it's effectively a manual transmission but with computer controlled clutch, so it drives exactly the same as an automatic. Chuck it in drive and you're off, except it's not always brilliant in stop start traffic. So if you pull up, for example, particularly on a hill, go to take off, and like that, it's not always smooth and consistent the way it does it, so it can just be a little bit frustrating. The other downside with this engine is you do need to give it very regular oil changes. So this car actually has to be serviced twice as often as all the other engine variants in the Tucson. So that's every 7,500 kilometres or 6 months. So some people may need to get it serviced 3 times a year. Another minor annoyance is the lack of Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, that fantastic connectivity that makes it so easy to control your smartphone through the screen on the car. It is the sort of tech that's coming to all cars in the next year or two, not super common at the moment, but interestingly, it is available on the more affordable version of the Tucson, the Active X, but it's not available on this one, the Elite. Strange. It is a shame and just takes a tiny bit of the gloss of what is otherwise a pretty well specified car. You're looking at auto wipers, auto headlights, dual zone ventilation, sat nav, smart key entry, alloy wheels, so plenty of fruit there. One of the coolest features with the new Tucson is the smart tailgate. You walk around the back, key in your pocket near the back of the car, and after a few seconds it pops automatically. Obviously great if you've got full hands. And all that shows that Hyundai's put plenty of thought into this car. It's a really good thing to drive, and it's got plenty of that value that Hyundai's known for. The 1.6-litre engine in this car I'm not completely convinced on. That hesitation on takeoff isn't great, and having to service it that often is not going to suit a whole lot of people. But luckily you've got 3 other engines to choose from.